Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode of More Game Chats. It's, I guess, another episode of chats here on the More Games channel or More Game channel. I don't even know the game of the channel. You suggest what it should be. Anyway, it's a weird time. Everyone is stuck at home. And we thought, how about we give you some suggestions of what to play? But before we get there, my name is Hugo. Right here to my left, we have
Vladimir. Probably. I'm not sure who's to your left, so.
Yeah.
yes, and below me we have
Marco.
I don't know how the configuration is on your screen.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah.
So this is the first time we're recording an episode like this. So cut us some slack. Also, I'm pretty sure this is the majority of content you see nowadays. Everyone is filming from home, even like, Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Fallon. And if they can film from home, so can we. So, this is pretty much the production quality that even network TVs have nowadays. So we're
Actually,
as good as them.
this is also a Saturday night live, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, we could have called
Actually,
this.
yes. So we are going with the trend.
Welcome to Saturday Night Live with three dudes.
So we're actually producing a Saturday Night Live show on a production level of a national TV. So
Yes, we can put that on our CV.
nice.
So here's the idea. People are stuck at home. They want something to do, and we are the video games dudes. So I thought, let's give them some video game suggestions. And for that, we came up with three categories, three things, three types of suggestions. So,
Smooth.
overall suggestion when it comes to a good game to play now while you're in quarantine and you have a lot of time and you're at home. So our overall favorite suggestion. Then we're going to give you a suggestion for non-gamers, because maybe you are playing video games now, and now that you're stuck at home and you cannot go out and you have a lot of time, you might look into it. And then we're going to give a suggestion from a game that we think it's underrated. So maybe you're already a gamer, you already played a lot of games, you don't know what else to play. We're not going to give you the most popular game in the world, because probably you already played that. But if you give you something that is underrated, maybe you can find out about a cool game that you didn't think about before. But that's enough of me explaining it. Let's jump right into it. And maybe we can start with our overall suggestion of just a cool game to play during this quarantine. Who wants to go first?
That's always the wrong
Awkward.
question to ask.
Everybody's like in school, like looking at down, so you don't get cold. But I mean, I can start. So we can start like with the first question, right? My personal game to recommend to like anybody. I think it is. I would stick to Legends of Runeterra because it is easy to pick up. The rules are, pretty simple, you would say, like comparing to other games and other titles and other single-player games. And there is also something like that anybody can find something there. You can find the strategic part. You can find the competitive part in the ranked mode, and you can also find the fun part, for example, in the expedition part of the game, where you can like build your own like a random card deck. And also there's a lot of like nice animations, like good pictures, like the graphics and everything is really nice. And I think there is also like a good reward system. So I think everybody gets something back. So even for people, for example, who likes like nice pictures and nice animations and nice characters, I think they can also find something in it. And as I said, it is, not to mention, it is free. And also it is really easy to pick up. So I think anybody can really start playing it and find whatever they want to find there.
Yeah, that sounds like a great suggestion. It's free to play, easy to learn. You can play for as long as you want. You can just play like 1 or 2 games if that's the amount of time you have. But also if you get really into it, you can, do tournaments, play, 50 matches, go really try to grind to get on the, So I think that's a really cool suggestion.
Like me, for example. No, I'm stuck.
So Legends of Runeterra. If you are not playing that yet and you're looking for something to play on the quarantine, give it a go. Marco suggested this game to me a couple months ago when it came out, and I started playing because of him, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm pretty sure you might enjoy it as well. If you like trading card games or just strategy games in general, it's a pretty cool one.
Mm.
So just so that you guys know, we made each like our list of what would be our suggestions for these three types of suggestions, three categories, but we did not share it with each other. So maybe there will be some overlaps. We don't know. We didn't want to spoil it also for ourselves. So we're finding out at the same time as you do. So, Mr. Vlad, what would be your suggestion for a great game for the quarantine?
Well, I'm glad that Marco picked Legends of Runeterra, because I have something for the more action-oriented gamer, and that would be Call of Duty Modern Warfare from 2019. And it might sound like something that's like well known and stuff, but I think it's quite an optimal pick for these times, because it isn't for everyone. It's more for the action-oriented gamer, as I've said. But you mentioned that the Legends of Runeterra is free, and when I was trying to like complete my list, I was thinking about the different aspects such a game should fulfill, like or criteria. And one of the games was actually price, because some people might be short on cash these days, and it might get worse.
Yep.
We don't know. So it is wise to not spend several hundred of euros on games that you would like to play. It might not be the best choice to make in this time. And for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you can actually make the choice to either play the free mode, which is Warzone, which is the Battle Royale mode. That one comes completely free of charge, and it's not really pay to win. You can get some advantage by paying, but it's only a faster progression, I would say. Or you unlock some weapons faster if you do that. But otherwise, it isn't pay to win, and you can enjoy most of the aspects of the game in the free mode. Or you can pay the, I don't know, $40-$50, or how much does it cost at the moment, and you can get access to all the other modes. And that's one of the things I really like about the game, because by choosing the mode, you can actually choose the way you're going to play. So if you're not in the mood for something really action-packed, really fast, you can choose a mode, for example, the hardcore team deathmatch, which has realistic rule set.
That doesn't sound very calm. That sounds exactly the opposite. Like so you know, you're not in the mood for something action, so you should try the hardcore beast bed mode deathmatch.
Yeah. Actually, there is a mode called Mosh Pit, and that's actually a really like a small map where everyone is tightly packed together, and there's like 3 people dying per second, probably on average. Like, it's insane. It's just everything is exploding all the time. So that's the action-packed mode. The hardcore team deathmatch is actually more slow pace. The HUD is minimalistic, so you don't even see how much ammo you have left and stuff like that. You don't see any minimap, and you usually go a lot slower, so it's more tactical. So you're covering each other's backs and stuff like that. There's night missions even with like night vision and stuff. So that's something I really enjoy, because it's slower pace and it's more strategic, more tactical.
I still don't see the allegation between like tactical part and hardcore deathmatch. Still,
the name is a little suggestive.
Another cool thing about that one is, if you're like me and you don't enjoy the online modes so much, it has a fantastic campaign.
True.
It's the best first-person shooter campaign I've played in, I don't know, the past 5 years maybe.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good campaign. Has really some touching moments. It's not just going out and blowing at stuff. It shows a little bit like the other side of war, and that things can have consequences, and it's an adult take on the genre. And I really liked it. It has good writing, good dialogues, nice story. Of course, it's a game that relies a lot on the multiplayer, which means the campaign is a bit shorter. If you are usually playing just single-player games and that you get 40-50 hours out of it, this is not it. This campaign, it's maybe, I don't know, like 10 hours.
Yeah, it might be.
So if you're looking just for the single player, it might not be worth the $40 or $50 to you. So keep that in mind. But if you like multiplayer, you get the 10-hour campaign, which in my opinion, it's really, really good. And they really did a nice job with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the free part of it is the Battle Royale, right?
Yes. Cool. I think that's a great suggestion. And I'm very happy you suggested that, because we're going to have 3 completely different games in completely different genres to different audiences. Like Vlad, I was also thinking about different factors of what should make a game a good suggestion. I was thinking about price, value, like money for your buck, and also something that could be accessible to everyone, let's say, in terms of I didn't want to choose something that it's, for example, a PlayStation exclusive, or I wanted like something that most people can play. And I think the best I could come up was Witcher 3 for a couple of reasons. First, it's probably the best game of the generation by many accounts, and many people. It was like a leap in technology and storytelling, so it's a fantastic game. Second, you can get it dirt cheap nowadays with the discounts. It's available in all the platforms: PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, you name it, it's there. It's not a very new game, so you can get it at a discount, but it aged very well. It has still today fantastic graphics, and it's a great value for money. So if you are not now having the budget, with some pay cuts and some stuff, like we know how the world is nowadays, to be buying 50 different games. But if you just have the budget for one, if you buy The Witcher for $10-15, that's like 100 hours of gameplay. Wow. And that's not even counting the DLCs. I spent about like 150 hours in The Witcher 3 because of then doing the DLCs. And it's not just length, it's quality. It's not like you're spending there 150 hours just doing fetch quests and being bored. It's like each quest, doesn't matter if it's main story or secondary, it has fantastic writing, fantastic characters, great dialogue, great character progression, both from a writing standpoint, like character progression the same as you would see on a movie or TV show, and character progression from you choosing your skills, choosing your play style. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And by its price and its value, I think it's a great suggestion. So if you're into RPGs or open world or exploration, that is a fantastic game. If you're into card games and strategy, maybe try Legends of Runeterra. If you're a bit more like
you can actually have
action
Gwent.
shooters.
You have Gwent.
Yes, The Witcher you can play any way you want, and you can play like role play that you're a Gwent master and you're just going around the world collecting Gwent cards and trying to become the Gwent champion, or you can just play like a monster killer that goes around just killing all the monsters, or just filling contracts, or just following the story, or just exploring the world and climbing mountains and sailing, and there's a huge world to explore. You can play it any way you want it, and it's a lot of fun, and I really, really recommend, if you haven't played it already, go ahead. With that being said, now we have 3 great suggestions, right? If you like strategy, if you like action, if you like RPGs. But those games are not necessarily obscure. Those are pretty famous games. So if you are already a gamer, chances are you already know about those, which is why we have another category for underrated games, where we're going to tell you about some games that maybe are not as well known, and maybe you didn't hear about it, or you did and you forgot, and we're going to refresh your memory. So maybe we can keep the cycle, and Marco, you can go ahead and tell us, what is your underrated game suggestion for the quarantine?
I think Runeterra is one of the underrated, but of course I have like a special dedicated game to the underrated part. But
which is?
I wanted to give a mention also to this, because I wanted to mention it in the really like all-around game, but also in the underrated one, because as for how all-around the game is, it is really underrated. So there is a special mention to that.
Cool.
But I think the games that are now really underrated and going really into the shades are Final Fantasy. I don't know if you know those games. Maybe you heard, maybe you saw.
Who doesn't?
Okay, I don't know. I mean, because the newer generations, for example, don't know much about the Final Fantasy games, because they usually dive into games like from the, like for example, The Witcher and, Bloodborne and Dark Souls and stuff like this. And they forget like the really, really like old school games. And I'm not talking about like for example, the newest one, like for example, the 15, yeah, or for example, like the the 10-2 or the 13-2 and stuff like this. But I'm talking more about like the more old school ones. So for example, the 7, 8, 9.
Cool.
So I think those are like really underrated games in this period of time.
Yeah, got it.
Before they were like super popular, I think, and they actually deserve it.
Yeah.
But I think like with the titles that are coming out now, I think those stories were really awesome and are still awesome to this day. And I think there is still a lot of potential behind. And I think people could also play a little bit more with what they set up with the franchise, and also with the basics who they did in. I mean, those were not the first one. You had like the first, second, third, fourth on the small consoles, or the Game Boys and stuff. But I think there is really a lot of potential on the table, which can be also followed up upon. What they are doing now, I think, also with the 15, because the 15 is really like one of my, I think, best games I played, because I love Final Fantasy. I played nearly all of them. I think I didn't play just the first and the third, sorry. But all of them I played. Also Dissidia, for example, which was kind of the clash of all of those Final Fantasies together. And I really like the franchise, but what I'm missing is the super depth that the stories had back there. And so, for example, the 15 has like good graphics. It has a nice combat system, which is nice. And also the new 7 that will come out will be also, I mean, according to the sources, it will be really awesome with, the remake with also, again, the combat system, pretty nice. And I think the 7 will be the game that will be one of the, like, that will bring back Final Fantasy again, like, resurrected.
Yeah.
Because with the titles from the 10, I mean, the 10 was still good, let's say. But from the 10 until the 15, it was kind of shaky, like nothing good going on there. And I will really like highlight those as the most underrated games of all time. But currently in this period of time, I think the underrated ones are actually the old ones.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. A lot of the new games are getting delayed because of Corona. People cannot distribute the games. We just heard 2 days ago that Last of Us Part 2, for example, is getting delayed indefinitely. There's not even a release date anymore. That's going to keep happening. More and more games are getting delayed left and right. So yeah, it's a good chance for you to go on your backlog, see what games you haven't played, and look at some of the classics. Final Fantasy VII, it's fantastic. And if you're really put off by the old school graphics, the remake comes out in 4 days. By the time we put on this video live, probably it will be like in 3 days. So if you have the budget and you want to play something with shiny, updated graphics, you can play the remake, and it looks fantastic. And I played the demo. The gameplay is great. If you are okay maybe with the old school graphics, or you have some nostalgia, go back, play, Final Fantasy, one of the old school ones. I think 7 is usually regarded as the best one in the series, and I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot of fun.
Yep.
Cool. Mr. Vlad, what is your underrated suggestion for the quarantine?
I'm actually kind of happy that Marco brought up 2 games, because I sort of am also deciding between 2 games in this category, because I mentioned that I had some criteria.
So Marco cheated, and now he's making other people think it's okay to cheat as well.
You actually thought I'm going again with Runeterra. Like Runeterra was just my special mention because.
No.
So. And I'm wondering what you will vote as the game for non-gamers. No Runeterra.
Yeah, like for real. Yeah, so the game for the non-gamers, and actually, if you think about it, is actually also good.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
Yeah. So. Right? Because we already said it has a low entry point. So.
All right, but you can mention 2, but you have to choose. You have to nominate one as D.
Yeah. So the game I would nominate is actually one that I didn't play. That's why I'm hesitating to choose it. But
maybe you will. Maybe suggest it to yourself as well.
Yeah. I would like to try, but I mentioned that one of my criteria was price, and this is still, even when discounted, it's over $40. So I'm hesitating still, because I have similar games to play, Call of Duty, as I mentioned already, and the game is, drumroll, Hunt Showdown. Not sure what you heard about it.
Yep.
Yeah. So Marco, did you hear about the game? Hunt Showdown.
No, but I can actually Google it right away.
Okay, fair enough.
So this is.
Let's be professional.
interesting one. It's
Mhm.
has some elements from Battle Royale,
Mhm.
but a little bit different.
Yeah.
I saw some videos on it.
Mhm.
It looked really cool. I like the setting.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
just a little bit off put by it being this online and other people going in and killing you, and I'm not so good at like online games.
Mhm.
But the setting and the weapons look
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah.
I guess you probably know about it a lot better than me, and you've
Yeah.
investigated more than me.
A bit. Yeah. So basically, what I like about it for our viewers, it's basically also a shooter game. It's also a multiplayer game, but it's not so fast paced. On the contrary, and this is something that I really like about shooters, when it's not just about your reflexes and also your hardware. Because let's be honest, if someone has 244 FPS, the best mouse, the best keyboard, and you're barely running on 30 FPS, you will have a hard time playing against that person. So that's why I don't really like fast-paced shooters, although they have their charm. Like, yeah, a round of Quake Champions is, yeah, the thrills you get there is, yeah, that can be fun too. But games like these, you can actually use strategy, tactics, and also stealth to overcome your opponents. So you can basically beat brawn with your own mind, and that's something I really prefer. So the setting is sort of Wild West / Lovecraft. So it's inspired by Lovecraft's monsters to a degree, not completely, but the idea is basically that you're a hunter that's on a mission to hunt down some monsters. You have to find like medium-sized bosses that drop traces that lead you, and you have to collect several of these, like a certain amount, and that gives you a final that pinpoints a precise point on the minimap where there is one of the main bosses, and you have to hunt him down, kill him, and collect the trophy. And after you have collected the trophy, or as many trophies as you wanted, you have to actually make it safely out of the map. So there is usually a horse carriage or a boat or something. You have to go there, and you have to actually load or like get on the carriage or the boat or whatever it is, and safely leave the map. And you have only one life, basically. So if they kill you, it's over for you. Or if you're in a team, if you all get killed, it's over for you. So you really have to be quite careful in when you use your weapons and what weapons you use, because you can use melee weapons against the monsters, which is hard, but they are silent. But the moment you use a firearm, like, many people on the map get alerted to your presence, and other hunters will try to hunt you down. So you have to carefully choose when to use stealth and when to go in.
Yeah.
Well,
And if
so
they can steal kind of your loot, right? If you
Yes.
already hunted things and you got the rewards, other hunters can go kill you, and if you before you extract, So it's this risk reward kind of mechanic.
The
So
balance.
it's quite interesting.
So my question is, so you mentioned it is a multiplayer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it is kind of a battle royale?
Kind of, sorta.
Not battle royale that everyone is killing to the last the last man standing, but it is. You're trying to. It's like PVE, that you're fighting the monsters, not the players.
PvE.
Yeah, so you're fighting the monsters, but other players can then come and steal your loot.
And can they kill you?
Yeah.
Yes, they can just kill you and steal your loot.
So it's like everybody against everybody, but like the main like point is to hunt.
Yeah, and you can
choose.
make teams, and you can.
Okay.
And you can choose to go and hunt the monsters, or you can choose to just wait for other people to hunt the monsters and then just go and kill them and steal the loot from them. So it's a cool strategy. The only thing that put me off was this online, and also then I don't have necessarily people to be playing with, so then you're paired with random people, and they can screw the game for you. So this is I'm not a huge on online games like this. But the setting looked pretty cool, and it looks different from other online multiplayer games nowadays. So I think that's a pretty cool suggestion.
Yeah, and the other one that I wanted to mention, but it's not really underrated in the true sense
Mhm.
because many people are playing it, but some people have stopped playing it maybe for some time as I did, and that's actually League of Legends. I know it's a well-known game, but one of the things amongst my criteria for games for this situation is games where you can catch up with old friends, and this is one of those
Yeah.
games. So because many people that usually don't have time, or I don't have time to like try and organize a meetup with someone else who has a completely different schedule, now's the time to do that. And this is one of the games where I met a lot of people that were quite good friends to me, and it's really nice to catch up with them after a long
Right in the Kokoro.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right in the Kokoro.
All right, let me check my list. Underrated. Okay. What? Okay. Yeah, my suggestion for underrated game is Gridfall. Gridfall is an RPG made by developer Spiders. And if I had to pitch you, is if you
it actually rings a bell, but like
yeah,
I remember.
I think I've heard the name.
It
But
sounds like a fake of Titanfall.
Good. Yeah, it's good
like
that you don't immediately.
Yeah.
So it's good that you don't immediately know what it is because it means that it is underrated and not everyone knows about it.
Good
but
point.
I think it's a very, very good game. If I had to pitch it, it would be imagine Dragon Age, but the setting, instead of being this medieval fantasy, it's new age or discoveries type fantasy. So like imagine the boats discovering
like
America and the explorers, the new world setting, but fantasy. So there's still like magic and monsters, but there are some guns like like gunpowder, and muskets. There are swords. There are like buckling. There are even some explosives that you can throw. So it's different setting, but the gameplay and the type of game is pretty similar to Dragon Age. Like it's RPG, you have a party, you level up, you equip your character and the other characters in your party. You can choose who joins your party or not. It's also the similar graphics to Dragon Age, this like over the shoulder view, branching dialogue and branching story paths. So it's, if you imagine BioWare and when they were doing good games before the before the Mass Effect Andromeda and before the latest that I can't even remember the name, shooter thingy. So if you think about the days of like Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, so it's like a spiritual successor to that. It's not made by BioWare, but it looks like it's made by old school BioWare. So if you like that and you are waiting for the next Dragon Age and you cannot wait and you want a good fantasy RPG, this is a great one. It has great story. Yeah, it's just a great RPG. I don't think it's the same quality level of The Witcher, but that is why it's not, a famous, super well-known game. So there's a lot of people, it went under the radar for a lot of people, and even some RPG fans might have not seen this one, but I do recommend it. You can get it on discount now, and it's one of the best RPGs I played in the last couple of years. Really good one. I really recommend it. Gridfall.
So my question is, why did Gridfall did not go through? Because as from what I'm viewing, it came out on October 2019.
Yeah.
So at the end of last year.
It didn't do bad, but first of all, it's not a famous developer. It's Spiders. It's it's not like Kojima or EA or something like that that everyone is awaiting. It didn't have a huge marketing budget. And it didn't have a big publisher behind, like when it's a console exclusive, and then, for example, if it was a PlayStation exclusive and then you have PlayStation blasting it for everyone, this was not the case. So, it's a little bit of a almost like an indie. It's not indie because it's a big AAA game. It's like the size, but it's budget-wise, it was not developed by EA or Ubisoft or it's developed by Spiders, which is a smaller studio. So they don't have the marketing budget like the big ones do. With that being said, I think it got good critical reception. It has nice reviews, and for the RPG fans, also has like good user score. It's just not everyone has heard about it, but yeah, I think it's a good RPG. Most similar thing I can think about is Kingdoms of Amalur. Was an older game that was very, very good, and also almost nobody heard about it, and it was a great RPG. And then because almost no one played, actually that company went bankrupt, and they're not around anymore. So I hope that's not the case with Spiders, and that they will keep putting out some good games, because Greedfall was a fantastic one. And if you like RPGs, you should go ahead and give it a shot. All right, that makes it for our underrated games. And now, last but not least, I think it's cool for us to leave some suggestions for non-gamers. So someone who usually is not playing video games, now they're in quarantine, stuck at home, they want to play something, they don't know what's good. Well, let's tell them. Mr. Marker, what you suggest, and please don't say Legends of Runeterra.
No. Okay, so
why do you think we should?
I know this will not be a change from before, but I want to give a special mention. But imagine, I mean, I've talked about it like in the first question that it is a good game for people who never played games. But my choice is not Legends of Runeterra. It's not Legends of Runeterra.
No way. But
no, trust me. My choice. I think I won. Like when I say the game, I think I won, like by far. So Life is Strange.
Yeah, we know it is, but tell us the game.
Strange. But now imagine, because the question is gamer. So Life is Strange / Legends of Life is Strange.
No, I think Life is Strange is a great suggestion.
Life is Strange is awesome, and it's because of the wording of the question is suggesting a game to a non-gamer. So who is the non-gamer? Is it your sister? Is it your girlfriend? Is it your friend? Is it your friend from the gym who who cannot even turn on the computer? No offense. That was pretty burning. But I mean, I think it's a good suggestion overall, because I took a lot of factors into credence. So for example, I was thinking, and also for example, if my girlfriend, for example, started playing games, I mean, yeah, she doesn't play like games. So I wanted to think about one, but unfortunately no. And I think she would actually like this game because I think it has a lot of everything. Yeah. And I think the Telltale games as a whole were really a big, they made a really big hole in the market, but for some reason they just evaporated so fast, and that's really sad. I mean, they try to continue with the Walking Dead series, with the Batman series.
And just for the viewers at home who might not know exactly what you're talking about when you say Telltale or when you say Life is Strange. So this is a type of games, the Telltale and including Life is Strange, they make these games that it's just a story, and then you have to choose between a couple of options, and you choose, and the story has ramifications. So it's almost like you're watching a series or you're watching a movie, and you're choosing what happens next.
Yes, and you're the creator of the story, kind of.
So you don't need to be an experienced gamer and have super fast reflexes or anything like that, or no complex strategy. It's not like that at all. You're seeing a story and you decide what happens. It's not as boring as that things are just playing for you. Not like you can control the character, you can walk around, but you don't need fast reflexes, you don't need strategy, you don't need anything. You just are making the decisions, and there are not wrong answers. It's just the world will evolve according to the choices that you make.
But it is kind of social, that the decisions you're making have deep social impact, within the game, of course. But it's more knowing your way around the conversation might help you in these games. I think the skill that you might develop there, or the skill that you already have, might actually help you predict the outcome of some of your choices. And what I really like is the choices are long term. So it's not yeah, I want to go left, and then you go left, and then you have to return and go right. So it would be the
Yeah.
same, but the choices actually can take you on a completely different tangent. Well, maybe not completely different, but for example, sometimes you make the decision which will imply that someone lives or dies. And in some occasions, if you choose, for example, well, now I'm not talking about Life is Strange, but for example, in the Walking Dead series, you might make a choice for one person to end up in a life or death situation, but a sturdier character might survive that situation, whereas someone more wimpy would actually die. So it's really hard to make those decisions.
So your decisions are important, and they have important ramifications, and they might completely change the rest of the game that will look completely different to you than it looked to me because I made a different decision than you. So you really then make the game like yours, and you are making your story, which is really cool. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yes, and I think yes, sorry.
I just wanted to add that if you finish Life is Strange and you're left wanting more, then you can play Life is Strange 2. And all the episodes are already out. So.
And you have the Walking Dead series, Batman series, and for some really like hardcore players of this kind of genre, then Until Dawn is really good. I played it. I think I had 3 endings. And I mean, the first ending, I think I killed everybody. Like, I think killed all the people. So I think my decisions were really bad.
And just for viewers at home, Until Dawn, it's similar game but horror setting.
So
if you don't like horror, you might want to sit this out.
Yeah,
if you're not easily scared, this is a good one for you.
And it is a little bit more real because it is kind of like a story from like real story. You know, like there is this slice of life kind of like thingy. Like the Telltale games are like Walking Dead, and the Life is Strange is animated. But like more
the graphics
animated,
are more
like
cartoony or more like a painting, and the other one, it's more.
Yeah, Until Dawn is
realistic.
like more realistic, yeah. So so it also have like different versions, but the like what I'm sad about is that those games kind of like extinguished, and that's really sad because they had like so much potential. And I remember me playing
really.
Life is Strange. It was
Telltales, yes, but there are others like it. Wait for my suggestion.
Oh,
nice.
We have a challenger here.
Premonition.
So one last note, like when I was deciding on this game I was thinking about like what do people like. So everybody, like in connection to games, so everybody likes movies and series, right? Everybody watches movies, everybody watches series. So people will tend to watch this series that you are creating. So I think this is something that many people could get hooked on the game industry or like the games in general, and then move small steps like Portal and stuff like this.
Or even if you have already binging some series, there is a Telltale game for you. For example, if you like The Walking Dead, there is a Telltale games Walking Dead. If you like Game of Thrones, there is a Game of Thrones. So there's even like a Minecraft one. There is Life is Strange, which is then an original plot. But there are some really cool ones out there. You don't need any particular set of skills. Anyone can pick it up and play. Fantastic suggestion. Mr. Vlad, what do you suggest for the non-gamers?
It is a game that is fairly well known, I think, but I presume it would be attractive to exactly the type of person that Marco depicted, maybe. And it's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Nice.
Because it's not that demanding. It does require maybe some basic skill, but you can actually set the combat difficulty. The combat isn't that difficult at all, and also it really shows you what games can do, in my opinion, because they play with a concept that I've always pondered being shown in games, but I've never seen it being done this well before, and that's actually playing with your perception. Because it's set in the world of like early medieval Celts. So the main protagonist is a Celtic woman which has a mental illness, and that illness causes her to see things, see illusions. But back in the time, such people would either be seen as and basically such people were either considered oracles or bewitched or possessed. So it runs in her family, and basically she she would oscillate between those 2 points. But in this game, she's mostly alone, and she's trying to bring the head of her beloved one, like the physical head that she has on in a pouch on her. She wants to bring the head to the underworld to save his soul. So basically, she's a Celtic woman, so they have their own gods, and she goes to this island where it's been said to her that there are the Viking gods because he has been killed by Vikings, and she thinks she must go save his soul to the land of the Viking gods. So she's basically experiencing all these visions or all this stuff where she's confronting.
Yeah, as far as I remember, you're playing as a character that suffers from schizophrenia.
Yes,
and it
not
brings
schizophrenia. I
wasn't
think,
it?
but it's something similar. Yeah,
maybe it's slightly different, or maybe completely. I don't remember what the exact disease is, but yeah, it's to bring awareness. Or one of the points of the game is also to bring awareness and to put you in the shoes of someone with that condition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome.
What I really loved is basically, as one example, you meet a being, an entity that is supposed to be a trickster god.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the form of a branched, huge giant with like made of branches and antlers and raven feathers and stuff like that. And he's basically playing with your mind. And they did this so well in the game that basically, as you're walking through the forest, you see him standing somewhere in the distance, and you see the silhouette as he's looking at you. And then like you pass a tree, and the tree basically blocks your vision of him for a split second, and then he's not there anymore. And when you return, he's not there. And they did this several times well.
It's really, really well done. I have to
plays
say
with your head.
that to a point that can be detrimental. For example, for me, I did not finish the game.
Really?
It was not because of the visions, it was because of the sound. So Senua, she hears voices in her head.
Yes,
and she's hearing these voices all the time. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of people suffer this in real life, and I cannot imagine it, because to me it was very disturbing. Mm-hmm. They make it in a very realistic way. Mm-hmm. I was playing with headphones, and the voices just felt so real, and the way how they play with stereo and surround sound, that sometimes it looks like someone is behind you, sometimes it looks like someone's from the side, sometimes they're just whispering and saying, hey, don't go there, go to the right. And then sometimes someone just screams in your head, and it was really getting me anxious. And sometimes it sounded so realistic that I had to look around, is there someone else, or is the sound in the room, or is it just in the game?
From what you are saying, it looks scary as hell. And actually, I was looking into this game, but I was actually, I heard also and read some reviews that it is scary. So I'm not into much
it's not scary games. It doesn't have horror elements or zombies or blood everywhere, but it is off-putting. It can be unsettling. And you are
unsettling is a very good word,
yes,
I think.
Which is very good, because it brings awareness of how difficult it can be for someone who has this condition. So I wanted to experience it, but I was getting so stressed and so off-putting. Even though I was loving the game and I was loving the story, the level of stress wasn't worth it to me. And I was like, okay, this is a fantastic game. I'm very grateful and happy that I got to experience it. I don't want to put myself through finishing it. So it depends on your tolerance. And also maybe I could have just not play with headphones or turn off and make the sound mono and make some things but then, that's kind of the point of the game. So I would be kind of ruining the experience.
Yeah, but for me, it's more scary to hear small whispers rather than see someone cut in half.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's more, disturbing.
And it's not just random things. They are sometimes commenting on what you're doing, or saying
exactly,
do that, or don't go there, or trying to trick you, or trying to warn you. So it looks like really there's someone watching you or something, because they are talking things that make sense. They're not just saying random words, So it can be really it's really well made. And that studio is now working on Senua's Sacrifice Part 2. It's gonna be the game that comes with the Xbox Series X. So when there's the new Xbox, Microsoft bought this studio. I think it's Ninja Theory, the name of the studio, and they're working on the next game for the new Xbox. And they're also working in other software and some other games to help bring awareness to other mental conditions, to bring awareness or to even help cure or help give therapy to people with different mental disabilities or some conditions. And they're making a lot of progress in that. They're bringing people with background in psychology and medicine to help them develop these tools. And that's really cool seeing using the technology for something like that.
Yeah, and I checked the mental illness, and it's psychosis, actually, that they describe. And one more thing I wanted to mention regarding the game is how they solve deaths in the game, or you losing, basically. And it's, for me, so far, it's probably the most well-balanced way of a single-player game doing this, and it's basically that the illness itself is represented by a black mark on your arm. It's like burned or plagued or something like that. And you start with basically just the hand being covered in black. And each time you die, it just like covers a bit more of your arm. And it slowly crawls upward with each death. And at the end of the game, if you died a lot, as I did, well, not that lot, not that much, but quite a bit, it crawls up almost up to your neck, and the moment it reaches your head, you're finished, like you have lost the game completely and you can start over.
Yep.
So you can die, you are allowed to die, but it symbolizes basically her losing against the illness in that situation. So that just brings her closer to crumbling completely, and it's really well represented, like by the blackening arm that's slowly reaching. And when you're right at the end of the game, you feel this immense pressure, like it's already crawling up your neck, and you have only a few tries left, and you're giving it your all just to finish the final boss and stuff like that. It's really
that's a really nice one, and it's kind of considered like a AAA indie. Mm-hmm. From the sense that it looks like a AAA game, the graphics are fantastic, the gameplay is fantastic, but it's just shorter. So don't expect 100 hours. I think it's maybe like 5-10 hour campaign, depends how many times you die. So it's the way how they reduced the costs was by the length of the game, but the production quality, the production of a AAA game, just duration. So if you're not a gamer, maybe you don't want to commit 100 hours to play a game, this is a good suggestion. You only need, I guess, about like 10 hours, and you can experience something really different, something really cool. Awesome suggestion. My suggestion for game for non-gamers was similar to Marco's. I have here, it was, not sure if you can read, that was Detroit Become Human.
If I had like glasses, I would look.
And Detroit Become Human is made by the same developers who did Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. So these are also story branching type of games that you make a decision and then it branches. It's not super heavy gameplay. It's again, you're watching a movie, you're watching a series and choosing things. It's just more realistic than the Telltale games. I didn't even think about Telltale games when I was making these suggestions. If I had thought about Telltale, actually, I would have suggested Telltale as well, because they're more accessible. Because, for example, Detroit Become Human is PlayStation exclusive. So it's not the best suggestion for everyone, because not everyone might have a PlayStation. So actually, Telltale, you can play that also on the computer. But Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls are now also available on PC. And I think they are even discounted this week on Epic Game Store. So if you haven't played those, they aged quite well because, the gameplay, you're just making those decisions. I see Glad picking there. I recommend those. There's a great story, great writing. Both Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls are wow. Yeah. And actually, I haven't thought about them.
Now, actually,
when I was actually thinking about like the games to non-gamers, like the first thing that popped up was Life is Strange. Like I don't know why, but I still have it in my computer, and like it was the first thing that popped up. And I didn't think actually that the Heavy Rain was I think it was even before Life is Strange, if I'm not mistaken.
Heavy Rain, yes. Detroit, no.
Yeah, Detroit, no. Detroit is pretty new. But
yes, Heavy Rain was before Telltale was famous, or maybe I don't know if they already existed.
Man, Heavy Rain was like and also really, you had like you had the special like the motion joystick. I think it was still in the in like
back in the day it was very innovative. Like
yes, it was very innovative and like
the style
and I think
of game and But since you already suggested Telltale, and this is very similar, I will go then to my honorable mention, which I had here. And I had on honorable mentions because I have not played this game myself, but I think this is perfect for the quarantine. And it's Death Stranding.
I couldn't see. That's Stranding.
Death Stranding. It's the new game by Kojima.
Okay, so convince me.
Yeah. Like you will have to sell this.
Yes,
really
I mean,
hard,
I
really
saw
hard
reviews, I
because-
saw videos. It looks
Okay,
nice,
not
but I'm not
convinced,
convinced.
not
Okay,
convinced
yeah,
either.
Let's go.
it was not one of my main suggestions because of this, because it's not a game for everyone. First of all, it's a Kojima game, so the story it's weird and convoluted, and it depends if you like that type of story. If you like this type of story in Metal Gear games, you're gonna love this. I loved Metal Gear because of the gameplay. I didn't like the story. I don't like these weird, convoluted stories. So it's not for me, but some people love Kojima and this type of weird things happening stories and really out-of-the-box thinking. If you do like that, this is definitely weird and different from every other game you ever played. So points for originality. It's not necessarily for me, but why I think it's a great game for a quarantine. First, most of the game, you are walking outside in a beautiful landscape. This is made on the Guerrilla engine, the same guys that made Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a fantastic engine. The grass, the water, like the environments look beautiful. So it looks like these rolling hills. You can hear like the water going. You can hear the rain. It looks like you are in nature. You feel like you are there. Super realistic. Now that everyone is locked at home and we cannot go outside and walk and see the sun, this is fantastic because most of the game, that's what you're doing. Another cool thing is the setting. So it's exactly or very similar to what we are living. People cannot go outside. Everyone is locked down and sheltered down because there's like an invisible killer and people are afraid to go outside. So everyone is sheltered in place. And you play as a courier who has to go and bring things to people who are inside and are afraid to go outside. So you are making the links, you are making the connections and going from place to place, bringing the things that people need and connecting the places. So if you think about it, it almost looks like Kojima already knew that there would be the quarantine and the coronavirus, and he made the game about it. It's actually scary how many similarities there are once you start
Aren't there
realizing.
zombies or something like that?
There's no zombies. This is a weird setting. I don't want to spoil too much about the game, but there's a lot of weird things going on. It's not a virus. There is it has something to do with, there is some entities, there is some time traveling, there is some weird things you are going to find out as you play the game. It's a very interesting story. I don't know everything about it because I haven't played myself. I just learned from watching some videos and watching some reviews and some trailers. So there is a weird setting that you find more about as you play through the story. Expect weirdness, expect a different and original story, depends if you like that or not. But the gameplay itself, it's a lot about transversing, figuring out how to get from point A to point B. Sometimes you have to climb, sometimes you have to build little bridges or ropes or what you need to bring with you, and how are you going to balance all the packages that you need to bring. So you're playing almost as a courier and going from place to place. Of course, there are some other things and there is some action, but if you're stuck at home and you have this feeling of walking and traversing and being, in nature, it will definitely deliver on that, and it's a interesting set.
My question,
very close.
I have a question. Are there some penalties for when you are like doing these missions and moving from A to B? Like, are there some factor that you are scared and you must give your best or like try hard?
Yes, there are some penalties that, like, if you die, sometimes you lose what you're carrying. You lose the packages. You can lose, I think, then the trust of the people who are paying you to do the deliveries. Or sometimes you have to go back to get.
But is the killer always running after you, or like?
I haven't played the game, but there are these entities and there are these like BTs, and they can, I think, come kind of from another dimension. And you cannot see them, but you can sense them. You have a device with you that can start sensing them, that they are kind of getting close to you, and you have to hide from them and even like hold your breath and whatnot and be like still and hope that they cannot feel where you are or sense where they are. Where you are, if they catch you, you are done. And then there is also some enemies in the same dimension as you, just the raiders who maybe are trying to steal the loot from you or something like that. So there are some normal enemies, and there are some let's say, weird or paranormal entities. I don't want to spoil too much, but yes, there is some paranormal things going on. Expect a weird story. It's original, but yeah, it's not your everyday realistic setting.
Everyday Joe. But what I see is that this is the game where the face of the main character is from the
Daryl from The Walking Dead.
From Daryl from The Walking Dead. Yeah.
So there's a lot of famous actors. There's Daryl.
Is it a coincidence, like Walking Dead, and he's walking on the whole game, and there are like these undead entities?
No,
like, is it just the biggest gaming pun of this year?
No, there is famous actors from everywhere. There's Guillermo del Toro. There is Mads Mikkelsen, like the guy who plays Hannibal. There is I don't know, Conan O'Brien even makes an appearance there. There's like a actress from, what was the name of that series? The Leftovers. So yeah, there's a lot of famous actors and actresses. A great cast. Interesting story. Interesting setting. It's not for everyone. There's a lot of walking, and there is a lot of weird things going on. So if that is for you, give it a try. If you don't have a PlayStation, it's coming for PC. And at least it's a bit different genre from the ones that they already suggested. So there you go. You have there some suggestions for non-gamers, some suggestions like underrated games, some overall. Let us know in the comments down below what you suggest us to play or other viewers to play. Maybe some hidden gems, maybe something for non-gamers that we didn't mention. And maybe we can play those ourselves. Guys, any final message? Anything you want to say before my computer runs out of battery?
Thanks to everybody who survived this.
Yeah. And remember, flatten the curve.
Yeah, we remember you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, stay at home, play some video games. Make sure that you survive.
That you do your part. Like, stay home and play games. Do your part. Now is our time to shine. Gamers rise.
This is our
exactly
our expertise.
All right, guys, stay safe. Let us know your suggestions on the comments down below, and see you next time.
See you.